and welcome back to episode number 69 of Inside the Vault, a Carolina Panthers podcast. I am your host, Ryan Smith, and my guest today is a former Carolina Panthers running back drafted in the fifth round, also played his college ball at the University of Florida, went to high school at St. Thomas Aquinas down there in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Let's welcome to Inside the Vault former Panthers running back Jordan Scarlett. Jordan, how's it going?
Doing well, doing well. How are you?
I am doing well. It's great to have you on, Jordan. And I just want to get right into it. And we'll start back with I want to start here. Football. When did you fall in love with the game? What age were you, if you remember? And just kind of where did that love first start for you?
I would say I was kind of honestly forced into the game. I had a lot of older brothers and cousins that played football before me, so they kind of were heavy on me playing and me staying active and playing football for a while before I actually fell in love with the game. So credits to them and pushing me and making me, play this game because Lord knows where I'll be without it. But yeah, I kind of fell in love with the game around, I would say, the age of like 13, 14, kind of.
Yep.
So I always was good at a young age. I always had speed. I was always pretty much bigger than a lot of the kids my age. I always like played up in like the little league parks and stuff, like played above my age range. So I didn't really enjoy it as much because I don't know. I was just more of a kid. I wanted to just go outside, have fun, watch Disney Channel. That was more of a kid.
Yep.
Right. I literally, my cousins will snag me off the TV, like, man, get off of Disney Channel. Let's go learn your holes. Like, put me in the backyard with some cones and we're going through holes and learning stuff like that. So credit to them and pushing me and keeping me motivated. But I kind of fell in love with the game around 13 or 14. And after then, I kind of started taking it into my own hands and going to the parks and different parks and playing football with a bunch of different guys around different neighborhoods. And I feel like that's the way to go. I mean, they say practice makes perfect. And if you're a kid just playing around, playing like kill the man with the ball and, just fun stuff, backyard football, that's all practice when you really think about it. So
Yeah.
that's how I really kind of came up and falling in love with the game. And just all my friends used to love football as well. So we all used to get together every day after school or on the weekends and play football for hours.
Yeah. And you went eventually to St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Is Fort Lauderdale where you grew up, or did you move around before getting to St. Thomas?
Oh yeah, Fort Lauderdale is where I primarily grew up. I was originally born in New York. I lived there for like 3 years, and then I moved to Florida when I was about 3 years old. And I've been in Fort Lauderdale pretty much ever since.
Got it. Okay. So for those who just may not know, St. Thomas Aquinas is a football factory down there in Fort Lauderdale. For the listeners who may just not be aware, I'm going to read just a brief list of former St. Thomas Aquinas players who are now in the NFL or were in the NFL specifically. So Brian Cox Jr., Jordan Scarlett, who I have on the screen here, Lamarcus Joyner, Giovanni Bernard, Philip Dorsett, Jordan Battle, Nick Bonito, Joey and Nick Bosa, probably the biggest alumni of the school. Asante Samuel Jr., Dallas Turner, Josh Palmer, Elijah Moore, Tyler Steen. I mean, I could go on, but those guys,
Definitely.
those are the guys that are. Most of those guys are in the NFL right now, or out of the league now. But what was it like playing at a place like St. Thomas Aquinas and being able to then jump from there? You stayed at college at University of Florida. We'll go there in a second, but going to a school like that, was that intimidating? Was it kind of like this is what it is, and I know what I have to do to kind of get to the next level? How was being at a school with a rich NFL tradition like St. Thomas?
I think it was honestly a blessing in disguise for me because originally I spent 3 of my years at university school, which is a smaller private school in Davie, Florida. Kids like Zay Flowers went there.
Oh, okay, yep.
Nick Bonito also went there. He ended up transferring to St. Thomas too. We all
He
kind of
is a
transferred out
sneaky
of
good
there.
player in the NFL.
Yeah,
The
him,
Broncos, he got himself a team
right.
with him.
Brian Burns was another one that was at university school with us. We all left university school once our coach left. So we all just dispersed between American Heritage and St. Thomas. So
Okay,
that's how I
okay,
ended up
that's
going to
good. I
St.
didn't know that
Thomas.
about Burns. Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
Yeah, Burns was a U school guy too. Ended up going to Heritage to play his last 2 years. So all of us dispersed from university school and kind of went our ways. And St. Thomas was just a better fit for me at the time. because I really wanted to go to American Heritage. Obviously, they had Sony Michelle. They were on the rise. Like I saw what they did with Sony. So from a running back's perspective, I was just trying to jump on that wave. But they had a lot of stuff going on with tuition, and you had to work over the summer and stuff like that. So that's what kind of made me ended up picking St. Thomas. And obviously, it's hard to turn down St. Thomas once you go there and kind of see the tradition behind it and all the players that's been in and out of there. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm actually blessed to be a part of St. Thomas's history because played a real big role there when I was there. My year being there, we had an amazing football team. Obviously, won state championship.
Yeah.
Got to share field with a great Nick Bosa and as well as other great guys. Damon Arnett was another one on my team at the time.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. David Arnett,
Yep,
Ohio
yep.
State
So
product. Yep.
yeah, so it was great.
And then in 2015, you were blessed to play in the U.S. All-American Bowl game in San Antonio, Texas, named to the Class 7A All-State First Team Nike event in Oregon in 2014 as well. And so, like you said, for St. Thomas, 24 touchdowns and 1,124 yards your senior season there. What was it like playing in the Under Armour All-American game? I bet that was fun.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. I got to get with a lot of great guys and a lot of guys I'll be seeing at the next level. There's a lot of SEC players there, a lot of Georgia, Bama guys and stuff like that. So it was a great experience and a great opportunity to see what the next level kind of looked like before I kind of got there. So
Yeah.
I was blessed to have the opportunity.
And then we go to the University of Florida for your college ball. You were teammates with players like Sean T. Gardner Johnson, Jawan Taylor, James Houston, Ventrell Miller. Give me your recruiting process because right now NIL, transfer portal, some of that was kind of sort of getting started when you were there, but not really. I mean, so
Yeah.
what would Jordan Scarlett demand in the NIL world today?
Hey, I'm sure I would have got a pretty penny, but yeah, that was a little bit before my time. But my recruiting process was kind of crazy. The same coach that left university school, Roger Harriet, he went to FAU
Okay, yep.
and he was a running backs coach out there. And that was actually my first commitment. So kind of did him a favor there. He needed to get some recruits and get FAU kind of jumping. So I was a four-star athlete, committed to FAU at the time. We got a lot of other dudes on board. And obviously, I didn't end up going there. I ended up flipping to Miami at the opening, the Nike opening. I flipped in on national TV to Miami Hurricanes. So that was on for a while. And honestly, Miami just wasn't the right fit for me. And they were going through some sanctions still
That's
and a
right.
lot
Yep.
of other
The
stuff.
Devin Shapiro days. Yep.
Right. So I was like, am I really about to go to a team that can't even compete for a bowl game and can't even do anything? Like,
Yeah,
two
exactly.
more years. And then the head coach was on the bricks of getting fired. Al Golder was on the hot seat, which he
Yep.
did
Yep.
ended up getting
Yep.
fired that year.
That's right.
Obviously, I think the next coach was um, Kirby Smart, I want to say. No. It was a Georgia coach, but I don't know which Georgia coach it was.
Yeah, I
But
got to look that up.
yeah, but one
Yeah,
of the
that's okay.
Georgia coaches came in there, and basically by then it was already over with. I was already signed and stuff to UF. So UF just felt like the better decision. Looking at the running back room, they had Kelvin Taylor in there, and basically he was just the only one. It was like a walk on who was behind him,
Oh,
and
Mark
Adam
Richt.
Lane. Oh yeah, Mark Ricky. Okay, yeah, I knew it was somebody, but yeah. No, I ended up picking Florida just because of the opportunity, and I felt like T. Rob was an awesome recruiter. He recruited me through my entire process, and ended up just liking Florida, man. When I went there, I fell in love with the visit. Brandon Powell's a good friend of mine. He was up there at the time, and he showed me a good time and basically got me to commit there.
Yeah, I mean, now and Brandon Powell did his thing at Florida along with so many others, as you mentioned. Um, my co-host of Winning the Division, Ben Troop, played at Florida tight end back in the day with in the Rex Grossman, Ron Zook days of Florida. So talk to me about Gainesville, the Swamp, the SEC. Like, what makes the SEC different than any other conference? I know the Big Ten likes to say they're kind of sort of on the same level playing field now, but I don't think
Yeah,
so.
I don't think it's there yet. I think what separates us, man, is just the culture itself. We know we play big boy football and we train like we play big boy football from the weight room to the field stuff, and as well as just the tradition around game day. Like most of these SEC schools are in small cities to where it's really nothing else to do but go out there and enjoy some
Right.
football. So that's kind of what helps us out as well. So I think that's what kind of does it for the SEC. You come here to play big boy ball, and if you don't end up liking it, you end up leaving, and that's just how it goes. And I
Yeah.
feel like it's going to continue to be that way.
Yeah. So before I move on to the NFL, I don't want to get you in trouble, but I am going to put you on the spot here. If you can't pick Florida, in the SEC, did you get to, well, first off, let me ask this. Did you get to go to every single away stadium in the SEC at the time? That so
Not
obviously Texas
all.
was not there and some of the other ones
Yeah,
are,
yeah,
but
yeah. I did all most of the East teams, of course. I didn't get to go to all the West teams because we'll
okay. Okay.
alternate play like a West team every other year. So I went to Arkansas, which they're on the West. I went to Mississippi State, which they're on the West. Who else did I get to go see?
Ole Miss, Auburn was in the West.
Yeah, but they came to us the times that I had to play them. I never went to them.
Okay, and Alabama's in the West.
Yeah, I didn't play them in because we play Alabama every 4 years, so I missed
Yeah.
that window. I think we played it Alabama the
Okay.
year before I got there.
Got it.
So I
Okay.
missed a lot of the West Coast teams, but as far as all the East Coast teams, yeah, I've been on their turf before.
Okay. So if you had to, so I'll ask you two questions. We'll get to the NFL. Um, is there an environment in the SEC that you would have enjoyed playing in that you did not get to play in? What would it be in Auburn? Would it be in Alabama? Or where would you have liked to have played looking back? Like before you had gotten into the NFL, where you wish you would have went to play?
I think I got a double answer for this one because I played at LSU, but I definitely would have always wanted to play at LSU. Like obviously with that being
Okay.
my home turf, like their stadium is electrifying. The fans
Oh
are
yeah.
crazy. That's a good one, and as well as Georgia, because obviously, with Georgia, we play in Jacksonville.
Yep.
So I never got to go to Jackson. I mean, I never got to go to Georgia and experience
Correct.
their
Correct.
stadiums.
Georgia, Florida, Georgia plays in Jacksonville. Correct. Not Stanford. Yep. Correct.
Right, right. So it'll be those two if I had to pick one.
And then for the ones that you was there a favorite that you got to play in? Would it be LSU or would it be somewhere else?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My favorite stadium to play in away wise was definitely LSU. The energy there was great, and you just can't beat it.
Yeah. A school like Mississippi State, you said was the Cowboys. I heard that's pretty
Yeah,
intimidating.
yeah, yeah. That
That's a
goes
little
hard.
different, but they don't get talked about obviously like the LSU's of the world in Florida. And
No, no. And I heard Texas A&M is pretty good, but Texas A&M came to us as well the year that we played them, so I
okay,
didn't get
that's
to
right.
go
That was
see
the
the
other one I was
12
missing.
game.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
then from the East, I'm trying to think. You said you played at Arkansas for the West, or you did not get to?
Yeah, yeah. Tennessee is another good one on the east
Yep.
side.
Rocky Top is a
Tennessee's
good
fans
one.
always go hard. Yeah, yeah.
South Carolina.
South Carolina's another one. Terrible towels. They be throwing around the towels and
Yeah.
going crazy. It's another good one.
And then Kentucky
Vandy
and
and
Vanderbilt are I think the two I'm missing there.
yeah, not so much. They're not so good.
Yeah. Um, well, eventually you make your way to the NFL, Jordan, after a time at the University of Florida. You go to the Carolina Panthers, fifth round of the 2019 NFL draft, which this is a Carolina Panthers podcast. So while you did have a short stint in Charlotte, played also for the Detroit Lions and Miami Dolphins in the league. Talk to me about the stint in Charlotte. How is it like being drafted by an NFL team, happens to be the Carolina Panthers? And what did you learn from your time in Charlotte and then in the league?
I'll say Charlotte was beautiful, man. I loved the city. I loved all the people there. It was a great time. I definitely appreciate the organization for taking a chance on me and giving me the opportunity to showcase my talent. I was blessed, man. I was blessed to be around a lot of legends. I got to see Cam Newton
Yeah,
before he got out of there. I was there Luke Kuechly's last year,
yeah.
Greg Olson's last year. Like I got to see a lot of great players.
CMC was still
Obviously,
at running back.
yeah, CMC was obviously in his prime there. That was the year he went for 2K the year I was there.
Yep, yep.
Probably would had a problem with my career because I didn't get much of an opportunity. He played about like 97% of the snaps that year.
And
Yeah,
we'll get there in a second with him, but yeah, it's
yeah.
just
So
hilarious talking like you just mentioned some of those names. I forgot about Kuechly there in his last year, and then Cam, like you said, out the door. Reggie Bonifant, another guy as well
yeah.
that was there from Louisville at the time. And then eventually you battled some injuries after playing 9 games, special teams, and then you go to Detroit and Miami for a brief stint before going into the CFL. Montreal Alouettes, Edmonton Elks, Philadelphia Stars, and the USFL as well. Is there a don't want to sound dumb here. Is there a difference between the NFL and those leagues? I know there is, but like,
Yeah,
what is the
100%.
difference in playing in the NFL briefly, like you did, and then going into a league like the CFL, like the USFL, and then how does that compare? And kind of what was the experience like between the two?
Right. Obviously, the playing level has a little bit different speed and different processing time and everything to it as well. And the physicality is a little bit different. But at the end of the day, all these dudes are ball players, man. CFL is like a graveyard for NFL players. So it's basically like you're getting the 1A and 1B NFL guys that are make long careers in the CFL. So the CFL is not a pushover to any sort. I'm not saying that they're bad, but
Right, right,
compared to the NFL, I mean, you're obviously dealing with like a Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Like you don't
right.
have receivers like that over there in the CFL. They're good. They're good in their league, but they're not of that caliber kind of guys. So definitely the NFL is one of one. As far as other leagues go, I think it's a good way for you to stay active if you're still trying to get into the league. Hopefully, you can get an opportunity by balling out in one of those leagues. And if not, man, take it for what it is. Use your body for as long as you can, and kind of yeah, make your money and do your thing.
Yeah, and I'll get there in a little bit. You brought up a good point about the using your body and then kind of getting out while you can. We'll get there in a few minutes, but going back to the time, obviously with the Panthers being that this is a Panthers podcast, we'll focus on the Panthers. CMC got traded to the San Francisco 49ers in 2022. But before we get to him specifically getting traded, what was it like just being in his presence? A guy that got drafted in the first round by the Carolina Panthers, number 8 overall, from Stanford University, now obviously back in the Bay Area now. But when he was in Carolina, there were some rock star moments with him. Guy was did battle a few injuries, obviously, in his time in Charlotte, and that's kind of also been a kind of a marker for him throughout the league too. But what was the biggest thing you learned from Christian McCaffrey and take away from your time with him in Charlotte?
I would say he's a hard worker, man. He comes in early and leaves late, kind of deal. He takes care of his body to the craziest degree you can think of.
Give
Getting
me
I
give me something that would be for a podcast that without giving away any state secrets.
I mean, he's an IV guy. Like he gets his IVs every Saturday night, Friday night. He set up at the house with the IV. He loves animal stretches, which is another thing he kind of introduced me to. Is kind of like a different way than just like your regular touch your toes, spread your legs, right, left. He don't
Right.
stretch like that. He does real animal stretches. He looks kind of funny when he's doing it, but it literally opens up the hips, opens up the body. He showed me a lot of stuff, and he obviously has some other things that he likes to keep secret that he does to take care of his body, but he has a very large profile of taking care of himself and take care of his body. So that's one thing I did like about him. Obviously, it's only so much you can do playing a very physical game of football. Like having the tread that he had on his body, it was bound to happen. The injuries that he ran into. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just hard, especially with how hard he goes. He's a guy that goes hard in practice.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, he's the type of dude who's running back after a touchdown, sprinting all the way to the end zone. When you not say he shouldn't be, but like, yeah, he's just one of those guys who works hard at everything he does.
yeah. And then before I specifically kind of go in deeper regarding kind of the trade out of Charlotte and some running back specific tendencies, you mentioned Cam Newton, you mentioned Luke Kuechly, Greg Olson. Whether it was those guys or somebody else that you didn't mention, was there another guy that you really kind of either took you under your wing or you really learned something very specific during your time in Charlotte with a guy besides Christian McCaffrey, whether it was a guy like Kuechly, Olsen, Cam?
I would say Shaq Thompson and Terry Smith, Torrey Smith. Sorry, he was a
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
Torrey.
Torrey Smith was a guy. He kind of taught me a way to get on the jugs and showed me different drills to kind of go through the jugs and what I should be doing, and basically showing me the importance of getting extra work in. Like when you get into the league, everything is basically on your own. It's not like coaches are going to be pushing you to do anything extra. You're doing the required work, and that's it. And the veteran guys should be those guys who should teach the young guys, here, this is a routine you should do. And just follow this for now, and you shape my routine to how it fits your play style to help you, and then it'll become your routine. So Torrey Smith helped me out a lot with that. Shaq kind of helped me out in the same way, kind of showing me how to take care of my body, treatment wise, just normal things that you should go through and taking care of yourself. So everybody was definitely a helping hand in that process.
Did was there a time where you were on the field with Luke Kuechly and you're like, what is this guy? How does he know where I'm going? What is the what it's like he
Yeah,
has to play in his mind before the offense even knows the
right.
play. What was it like with Luke?
It was great, man. Obviously, I always brought my A game for him because I wanted him to be prepared for the game. I was obviously on scout team a lot my rookie year, preparing the defense for each and every week. So I did feel like that often, and being on scout team, you kind of almost feel like, damn, he has to know the play, right? But he just studies his work well, and once he sees a certain formation and he sees the way people are moving, he reacts fast. And I think he was a great player. I think he could have continued to play, in my opinion. I just think he had so much respect for the game. He wasn't an A plus performer anymore. I think he was more of an A minus performer at his time when he left. And that
I
just,
think the same way.
yeah, I just think it wasn't acceptable for him. I think he could have played 2, 3, maybe 4 more years and been actually producing in the NFL. You would have had interceptions. You would have been tackled for loss guy. All
Right.
types of stuff would have still been there. I just think he knew that he wasn't that same person that he was.
Sure.
Rewind back 2015, 2016, all those good years where they had great defenses in Carolina. Like he didn't have that anymore. So he kind of felt like, I really don't want to play anywhere else. We about to go through a rebuild. We just got rid of our 10-year quarterback. We have Christian, but like I'm not saying that he could do it all. We tried that already. He really
Right.
can't. So I think he was just looking at it like I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. He wanted to start and end his career there, and I think he made the right decision. He's still in the building now. I think he works as a
Obviously, yeah,
scout.
he's doing the broadcasting thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And if I remember right, he's also coaching in with Greg Olson at Charlotte
Yep.
in middle school.
Greg and
Jonathan Stewart's on that
yeah,
staff.
Big
Todd
Stewart,
Blackledge
yeah.
from Penn State quarterback back in the day. That is a crazy staff, but we don't have time to get into that. Cam Newton, he obviously was in Charlotte. You said when you were there, played with him for a stint. And now Panthers have Bryce Young. Obviously, no one is comparing Cam Newton to or Bryce Young to Cam Newton. Obviously, two very different players, and the
For
statute
sure.
alone is just ridiculous. So,
Yeah.
um, what do you see in Bryce Young specifically? Have you kept up with the Panthers the last few years since Bryce has been in the league?
Yeah, I watch ball, so I haven't been keeping up with the Panthers specifically and like just watching all of their games. But Sunday comes on, I'm watching all the
Of
games,
course.
red zone, and like that. So I've been watching Bryson. Honestly, I kind of feel bad for the kid. You expected him to make what do they call it? Flowers out of poop, essentially. Like I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah,
Look,
especially
yeah.
that
So
those 11 games with Frank Reich there a few years
come
back. Yeah,
on. So you can call that one, and then the O line was having some issues. They fixed the O line this year, but one thing about offensive line is you can sign all these great guys who are great blockers. They need the chemistry within
correct.
each other. They need to learn how to pick up twists with each other and trust each other that I can lean on this guy because I know he's gonna hold that dude off that's trying to pin me, and we gonna swap that off. Like you can have a bunch of all pro linemen, but they need to get reps together. So I think this year getting it under the belt with them all getting reps together and getting better was good for them. Bryce can kind of feel a little bit more trust in his O line now, moving into year 2 with this change in O line. Um, and now he obviously has a couple more weapons that he can deal with. He wasn't working with much weapons either. I mean, his best receiver was Adam Thielen. I'm not saying Adam Thielen's not good. I think he's a great receiver.
I
But
do
I
too.
do not, yeah, I don't feel like he will be wide receiver one at a lot of other places, is what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah, that's
So,
true.
so
Um, yeah, you're correct. Let me go back to Christian McCaffrey for a second. So was Matt Rule was the coach when you were there, correct?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
I had Ron Rivera, and then I left when Matt Rule was there. Like I did the training camp with Matt Rule.
And oh, okay. So mainly it was Ron Rivera when you were there.
Yeah, mainly
Oh, okay,
Ron
good.
Rivera.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
good. So what was the difference? Real quick, Ron Rivera versus Matt Rule. Did you have? Were you able to get a good stance on kind of Rivera's coaching style, Rule's coaching style? What was it like
Uh,
between the two guys?
I'll say Coach Rivera was kind of a defensive-minded coach. So you know how those defensive-minded coaches be. They really not messing with the offense too
Right,
much
the
to
kind
talk
of
to those
hands-off
guys.
approach. Yeah.
Right, he's a more of a hands-off approach guy. Obviously, everybody still had respect for him in the room because he was a head man and he was a really good dude outside of the football and stuff like that. So he was a great coach and a great leader for sure. Sad that he had to go out like that. You know
Yeah,
how that
yeah.
goes. Once your
That's a
quarterback
subject.
goes,
I
yeah,
think he's
once your
doing okay now.
quarterback, yeah, once your quarterback goes and you got to try to find another franchise quarterback
Good luck.
and you ain't find him yet, yeah, you're basically gone. That's how that works. So it happened. He went on a nice run with Cam. They had a good 10 years together, but
Yeah.
yeah, he's a great dude. Him in comparison to Matt Rule, though, I think Matt Rule is more of a college type of coach. Me just seeing him coming from college and trying to implement the same things that he did from college in the league, it just doesn't work like that. He's a grown man. They want to be handled a certain way and coached a certain way, and you can't just always you can't expect respect and demand out of something that hasn't really put in the time yet. Like the players have to trust you and build that trust with you and build that relationship with you, and then they'll play for you like that. I think he
Mhm.
was kind of thinking he needed to come in and be that man and big up his chest, like you're going to listen to me because I'm the head coach kind of guy. And it basically turned a lot of people off. And you never want a player just playing selfishly. You want people to be playing as a brotherhood and as a team kind of deal because those are the best teams that always make it far. People who have good team camaraderie and can come together and play for one another.
Yeah. All right. Let me get back to Christian now. And then I'll kind of close this out with kind of some different topics around the Panthers and guys today, and just kind of rapid fire. So I've heard it said that, when you have a guy like a Christian McCaffrey, and I'm specifically talking about his time in Charlotte, before I say that, before I get to the trade, he's like a Ferrari where you want to put it out on the street, and you want to make sure you put it in gear, and you're zooming and you're going. But then at some point, that Ferrari, you don't want it to get scratched, you don't want it to stall out, you don't want it to.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is this: there was a lot of Panther fans, a lot of Panther content creators, who, including myself, during Christian's time in Charlotte, it almost, correct me if I'm wrong, Jordan, because you were there, it almost seemed as if, not that the Panthers didn't know how to use him compared to what San Francisco does with Christian, because Kyle Shanahan is obviously a one of one, except for maybe Sean McVay as well, as far as the offensive coaching. But
Yeah.
it almost seems like the Panthers were so, they wanted to run with McCaffrey no matter what, no, just get him the ball every time because he's this Ferrari and he's going to make us go. But you got to be able to spread the ball out to different people and not be so dependable on one guy. And I think that is kind of led to his downfall with the injuries of the overusage, in my opinion. And obviously, the trade in Charlotte happened more so. Obviously, the 49ers gave them a really good haul in return, but
Yeah.
he was also injured a lot of the time, and the Panthers were not winning with him. And it was just one of those things. I think a lot of Panther fans and creators were heartbroken today. He got traded, but they also understood somewhere in their heart of hearts that, this might be a good thing in the long run, back in the Bay Area where he's familiar, from Stanford, all that sort of thing. Even though he did love his time in Carolina, which I do know personally because I've talked to some people who know him.
Yeah. 100%.
Um, well, so what's your thought on kind of that philosophy?
In my opinion, I just kind of felt like, first of all, I don't mean to take any shots when I say this, but I do feel like Christian was arguably one of the best receivers on that team. Obviously, we had DJ Moore at the time. He's a phenomenal receiver.
Who, yep, now in
I
Chicago.
think, yeah,
Yep.
I think he's better than Christian at receiver, 100%. But after that, if you watch Christian run routes and you watch Curtis Samuel run routes, you probably would take Christian running routes and getting him the ball before you make Curtis Samuel get him the ball. Like that's kind of what coaches are looking at. Well, like I know he's my best running back and he's my best player, but shoot, he's arguably my best receiver too. So I'm kind of like, where do I turn to? I feel like their problem is they felt like they didn't need to get any more weapons in the draft or in a trade because they had Christian, but not knowing that getting a dude that can complement Christian would have been a plus.
Hmm.
Like So I feel like that's kind of where they messed up. They kind of felt like because they had him, they didn't really have to go seek out any other real weapons, and they ended up just overusing him. DJ Moore wasn't getting the ball because we didn't have a great quarterback, and it was just easier to dump it. It's easier to check it down and to get a dude 10, 15 yards down the field, possibly
Yeah.
double covered because we didn't have too many other threats. Our tight end wasn't a threat. Your second receiver, out, very questionable whether he was going to catch the ball or not. Like, yeah, it wasn't much to work with. So it was definitely all just a Christian show. And I wish Carolina would have treated him better, man. Wish they would have got a better coordinator in. I think Joe Brady was a great coordinator for him, but then again, we get back to the point. It just wasn't enough weapons. Like he
Yeah,
tried.
and there is that elephant in the room. You know, he was let go during the bye week, right before the bye week, I believe, under
Yeah.
that the rule era, and so that obviously didn't help matters, at the time either. And then we see him go to San Francisco. He's battled injuries there, but he had that MVP like season, in my opinion, in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
2022 was kind of late season, got his footing under him, but then 2023, the next year, they go to the Super Bowl. And essentially he had an MVP type year, and Shanahan was using him all over the place, and it just seemed like, where was this in Carolina? But you
You're
have to
right.
think also, look at the players around him as well. Like that
Exactly. He had an
helps.
all
Like
pro
that takes
team. Yeah.
pressure. He doesn't have to be the number one guy. He can be the third, fourth, fifth.
Right. You have other people to worry about on that field so he can actually get loose and get a one on one. Like Christian rarely had one on ones when it came to him playing at Carolina. If he was getting him out on the option routes, they used to try to bracket him on the option routes where you have one linebacker on each side. He literally try to just split him and go vertical, like because of how many teams were trying to double him. So
Yeah,
once he got to San Fran, the doubling was kind of out the window because you got Kittle, you got Debo. Uh,
Brandon
who
Ayuk.
else was out there? Yeah, Brandon Ayuk. Like they had weapons, so you really couldn't play around too much with them.
Yeah. And when it comes to then obviously the Panthers, we know now, obviously Brian Byrne gets shipped off to the Giants. DJ Moore was in the trade for Bryce Young. A lot of Panther fans believe maybe Brian Burns should have been the trade piece there instead of DJ Moore, because little did Bryce Young know, not having a number one receiver his rookie year. Yeah, that obviously was not the best situation there. But then you get to the current version of Carolina Panthers now, with Bryce going into his third year, survives a benching last year, comes in and not so hot the first 2 weeks, and then benched, and then Dave Canales, the new head coach of the Carolina Panthers, now in his second season, he brought Bryce back after Andy Dalton and the unfortunate car accident incident, and yet Bryce turned a corner, and it was like, where was this? This is the number one pick that we were all looking for. And so,
Right.
talk to me about how rare that is for a guy like Bryce Young, a number one overall pick. He gets benched, but then he comes back. He has a good attitude with the benching, was coachable and adaptable. The game slowed down for him, and then he came back and looked like a whole different player.
Well, I think that just goes for sometimes you got to get mental reps. And with the situation he was kind of dealt, they kind of threw him in the fire early and kind of forced him to make plays on the fly and kind of change things while he was actually in the game. And he probably felt that being repetitive throughout the week and each and every week, it feels like he just can't even learn. He can't because sometimes it's easier to learn when you're watching someone else versus doing it and messing it up. Sometimes you need to see somebody else do it. Oh, they did it that way. Oh, wow, it looked easy if he would have just did that. Or you feel me? Just looked at that read first. Or why didn't he look here first? So I think him watching another quarterback step in and playing, doing decent and doing pretty good, and even still messing up. Either way, he was learning because if they were doing good, he's watching what to do good, and if they were messing up, obviously they're correcting that in the film room and saying, "Hey, we should have went here with the ball. This should have been your first read. This should have been your second read, etc." So I think him being benched was obviously the best thing for him because it gave him time to kind of realize that, hey, I can do this. I'm talented enough to do this. It's not that hard. Now let me get a second opportunity at it, and just trusted my ability. And I think that's what he started doing. I think he started trusting in his ability. The game slowed down for him. Instead of taking pointless sacks, he'll scramble for a few yards and slide because you have that in your tool bag. He just chose not to use it because he was kind of flustered. Quarterbacks getting hit in this day and age, man. There's some big dudes coming down on him. He's a pretty small guy. So I can imagine his first couple sacks, he wasn't taking that well, and he was trying to, figure something out to not get sacked anymore. But once the game slowed down for him, I see him kind of taking off for short yardage gains and getting rid of the ball when he needs to, quick timing throws, not everything you need to hold on to the ball. So he's definitely improving week after week.
And I'll close us out here with some rapid fire lightning and get you out of here. Jordan Scarlett, my guest today here on Inside the Vault, former Carolina Panthers fifth round draft pick from 2019. Jordan, this current version of Carolina 2025 season schedule release just happened this evening. We're kind of recording this as the schedule is all coming out in the NFL. Um, Bryce Young now has Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, Xavier Legette, Ted McMillan, rookie from Arizona, still Adam Thielen, and then guys like Jatavian Sanders, Tommy Trimble, revamped offensive line, fixed defense in some regards this offseason. What are you looking for from a Panthers team that was 5-12 last year? Some people predict them to, win 8 games this year, maybe compete for a wild card spot at 9-8. What is your outlook for this Carolina Panthers team in 2025?
Well, I think obviously they have a lot of room to improve considering the years that they just had. So anything could possibly be better. But I like them this year. I like for them to make a big change this year. If they can get it together on offense to score some points and average about like what 28 points a game. That's I know it's pretty high for them, but like just to get up there in that scoring margin to where the defense doesn't have to do so much and the offense can actually apply some pressure, keep the defense off the field and stuff like that. But I think they'll do pretty well. I'm not too familiar. I know they made a couple changes on D line. They're trying to kind of build around big
Darren Brown.
big Darren Brown in there to kind of make that defense nice and stout. So it all starts in the trenches, man. I think they're trying to do it the right way. They try to
Yep.
fix the O line last year. They're trying to fix the D line now. Got some more weapons. I'm really excited to see Jimmy Horn, the dude from Colorado.
Yeah.
I think he's going to
He
be
fills a need in the receiver room that the Panthers did not have last year with speed.
yeah. And even in the draft this year, obviously they picked him up, but I felt like them grabbing a dude from Arizona was like you kind of already have an X in Leggett. I'm not saying that he can't play anywhere else, but I feel like he's just that type of receiver that one doesn't get that much separation. He makes contested catches, and we already have one of those. And I would have rather gotten a nice slot receiver that can kind of learn from a guy like Adam Thielen and kind of pick off Adam Thielen. But when I saw they grabbed Jimmy Horn, I was like, okay, that's a good one because he's somebody who's like a sleeper, fast, can move in and out the slot, can learn from a guy like Adam Thielen, and you got him for a good price tag. So can't really beat that.
Do you have an opinion on Florida boys, Trevor Etienne and Cam Jackson?
Oh yeah, for sure. ETN, man, I think he's gonna be a baller. I think he'll shock a lot of people in training camp, and he may get that second string role to maybe even starter. That's what I'm hoping for. Obviously, he went to Georgia and can finish his career out there, but he's originally
Well, we won't talk about that part as
yeah,
Florida Gators. Yeah,
he's a Gator
he's like
boy
half
to
a
me.
dog. You know,
Right. So and
Cam Jackson beast.
Cam Jackson, man, I think he'll be a great complement to that defense. He's a big run stopper, along to help with. I'm sure they're going to be doubling Big Brown up, so he'll be able to free up and kind of get some TFLs and make a difference for them boys this year.
Is there a guy that you played with that you felt was kind of underappreciated during your time in Carolina, or maybe a guy in Carolina, not necessarily that you played with, but currently now, who is unappreciated and just doesn't get a lot of love from the fans, the media? A guy that might just maybe does his job the right way and just is a very consistent guy, someone who might feel underappreciated.
I would say Taylor Moton, man. Taylor Moton was a dude
Talk
who
about it. That
he
$31 million cap hit that Dan Morgan has said he's planning
I'm
on
telling you,
doing.
it was well deserved, man. I felt like it was a long time coming for him. He kind of stayed down and stayed to himself and just always was working hard, man. It was tough days for him in training camp sometimes, and he never kind of made an excuse or kind of made it feel bad for himself. Even all the players and coaches changing that was going on, he still stayed himself and he still, try to find a way to figure it out, man. And I'm proud of him. Just watching his career now and watch how he's still balling in the league. I'm like, man, I love that for him.
Yeah. Where can people find you? What do you have a podcast? Do you have the what are you doing right now? Tell us. Obviously, football sounds like it isn't in the rearview mirror at the moment, or maybe is
Right,
in the
right.
rearview mirror. Talk to me about what you're doing right now, and where can people find you, your podcast, and what are you doing?
Yeah, well, you can find me on Instagram at Scarlet Fever, 1T in the Scarlet 25. And I also have a Gator-based podcast called Stadium and Gale. You can find that on all platforms, Spotify, YouTube, X, Apple Podcasts, whatever. So those are the main two things I'm kind of found on and actively on each and every day if you guys want to follow me and see what's going on. And as of now, I'm currently just a fitness trainer. I coach at a gym called F45. I train fitness people, but I'm looking to get into coaching. I actually applied to the Bill Walsh program, and I
Oh,
have
awesome.
I have an internship with the Jacksonville Jaguars this training camp. So I'll be out with the Jags this training camp to hopefully land a job with them.
That's interesting because the Carolina Panthers play the Jacksonville Jaguars week 1 of the NFL season. You're
They
gonna have to
sure
switch
do.
that Panther hat for a Jags hat, at least in
Right.
training camp. Real quickly, Travis Hunter versus Tech McMillan. That's popcorn worthy right
Yeah,
there. But
man.
I don't know if you know this nugget. The last 2 times the Panthers have played against Jacksonville to open up the season, they went to the Super Bowl.
Ooh, well, that might be that year for the boys. Let's do
Uh,
it.
just saying that's a stat I did not know until I saw that today. Um, So real quick, lastly here, looking at the schedule, what as a player, what did you look at when the schedule came out? Is it the bye week? Is it the where your division games are? Number of road game or I'm not road. I'm sorry. First week, last week. What where cold weather cities? What did you
Yeah.
look at when it comes to a schedule when it comes out as an NFL player?
Yeah, I think at first you look where your division games lie. That's first and foremost, and then you kind of look at the cold games and kind of try to plan around the bye week after that. So just pretty much in that order, you kind of just want to go to the division games first, see how those are going to look for you. If you're going to be home all the way first and trying to steal a win at their turf kind of deal, and yeah, after that, you just basically go on weather stuff. If you're gonna go to a cold place like Green Bay in the late in the year, that's something
Yeah,
you're prepared for a snow game and
yeah.
stuff like that. But for the most part, man, it's just all about playing ball. People probably do emphasize looking for a bye week and trying to see when that lies, whether it's really late in the season, if you're gonna have a long first end, or if it's really early, and we're gonna have a long back end of the season. So all that stuff plays a huge role that matters and ties into your health and stuff like that.
Well, I didn't expect to talk to you about the Jacksonville Jaguars, but so many storylines week 1 now with Panthers Jaguars officially on the schedule. The ETN brothers facing off, Trevor and
Right,
Travis
right.
ETN. Jimmy Horn and Travis Hunter on opposite sidelines. Ted McMillan versus Travis Hunter against each other.
Yep.
David Canales versus Liam Cohen, the last two Tampa Bay coordinators, now facing off once again. And Liam Cohen hung 42 on Dave Canales last time they played against each other with Tampa Bay last year. I'm sure Canales obviously wants to get that corrected. So a lot of storylines in this first game of the season coming up, obviously in September time. What are you hoping to learn? Last question here for Jordan Scarlett here on Inside the Vault. You mentioned the Bill Walsh Fellowship. What are you hoping to learn with the training camp invite with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the internship there?
I really just want to kind of pick at Liam Cohen's brain, man. Like you said, he dropped a 40 ball on them boys last year. He took Tampa Bay's offense from a bottom barrel offense to, I think, top eight, top 10 offense in the league as far as points scored and yardage and stuff like that. So just trying to go there and get a great offensive minded coach's perspective and kind of see what I could take from him and spend those early morning and long nights there so they can see my appreciation and hopefully land a job. But if not, I want to leave there with at least some knowledge of how he feels about the game and stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, that's a good place to end it. Jordan Scarlett here on Inside the Vault, episode 69. Jordan, thank you so much for coming on the show, and we'll talk to you down the road.
I appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Uh, that is episode Inside the Vault number 69. My name is Ryan Smith, your host once again. Rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcast, and we will see you next time.